Okay, we're going to reopen the meeting of August 28th, 2024. If everyone can please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, and justice for all.
Okay. Reading of the mission statement, we are committed to academic achievement and success for all students in a safe environment in partnership with families and our community. Our mission is to promote confidence, inspire passion for learning, and to prepare students to become responsible global citizens. Okay, next up is the approval of this agenda. Is there a motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. And the district-wide school safety plan for 2024-2025, Mr. Kay.
Right, so at our July 23rd meeting, we did a presentation related to the district-wide safety plan. Joe Tripotto and I reviewed the plan. That's a high-level document. It's about policy, and you're at a high level. If you recall, that's a public document. What we do is we put that on our website for a 30-day comment period, which we've done. We have no comments or questions in that period of time. If you recall, what we also talked about, what was new for the 24-25 school year, the regulations had changed a little bit, and there was a few things, but the notable things were the trauma-informed drills, and we had kind of a good discussion about that. That was the idea that we don't want to have drills or exercises that are so realistic as to be upsetting for students. The other thing was the parental notification of lockdown drills in advance of those, so that's another element to that. There's a couple other things, but those are the most notable changes. So here we are tonight to adopt the plan. The final piece would be establishing or pulling together the district-wide school safety team, which we'd like to do in September. Reach out to that group. We pull that group together to review this plan, although it would be approved for future enhancements or changes.
Any questions? Is there a motion to approve?
Motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
I do have a request. Will we see a copy of the school safety team once they're selected?
Yes. In fact, Michael, the board would approve the team,
Okay.
and typically a board member is part of that as well. So for sure, we'll send that. I have that. A few of the people who are on the team in the past that would be different this time around, so
Yeah.
I'll send that
That's
to the
in
board.
September.
Yes.
Perfect.
Okay, thank you. Next is questions or comments from interested citizens. No? None? Is there an update on any questions or comments? No? Okay. And then that brings us to our district goals presentation by our Deputy Superintendent, Dr.
Good evening, everyone. While they set that up. So tonight I'll be presenting our district goals. These are the goals that we talked about. We have spent time working these goals with the cabinet, and pending your questions or further guidance, these are the goals that we'll be presenting down to our administrators and all the way down to the classroom. So these are the 6 goals, and these are the areas that I'll be speaking to, as well as the action steps. Starting with goal 1, increase student achievement. That first bullet speaks to reviewing and monitoring data. The data that we're referring to in that bullet speaks to attendance. We want to take some time to explore what is the relationship with students who are chronically absent as it associates with student achievement. We also want to look at our state assessment scores, our ELA, math, 3 through 8 regents, and we want to make sure that we take a look at our STAR benchmark. This is the assessment that we use throughout the course of the year, and what we're going to be looking for there as it relates to student achievement is where our students are, and not just where they end up, but their rate of growth. The actual curriculum K through 12, we're going to spend time aligning that to our state standards. I want to point out here that our state standards, curriculum standards, they change often. Depending on the subject, it could be 3 to 5 years. But what's constantly changing is the actual teachers that we ask to teach these standards. So this is an ongoing process where we really should be doing this yearly. And we will take a hard look at that to make sure that we are aligned across all grade levels. Conduct a comprehensive analysis of AP dual enrollment college credits. Here we want to focus on 2 questions. What students are actually signing up for these courses? 2, how successful are they? Are they actually passing these? And I want to take that further personally. I want to know, are they actually using these credits in college? Oftentimes they take these courses, and depending on the college they go to, sometimes they don't apply. So we plan to do a survey with students, and we want to actually hear from them. What are they interested in? And does all students have access to this course? The final bullet is reviewing your guidance program. The state directs us to be in alliance with the guidance that the commissioner sends out. The commissioner, we're going to unpack that document. We're going to make sure that we are aligned to that relates to guidance. Go. I'm sorry. Folks might read it's not correct. Okay. Our next goal bullet communications regarding safety issues and crisis management. Let me just say that we have done a lot of work over the past 3 years, and this is applauded. And some of the things that we've done, we've implemented these ID badges. We're ensuring that all teachers, all employees wear them. Under every classroom door in this district. You've added cameras. You've done a number of things, and I could go on and on. So the next logical step is to put protocols in place, ensure that minimizing safety for all. So, systematic protocols, things like, now that we have a vestibule in our districts, what's the expectation for buzzing visitors in? We have Raptor. What is that expectation in terms of exchanging IDs, giving visitors passes? Are they escorted throughout the building? Do we let them roam? Those types of things. So that bullet refers to, we want to put a document in place that spells out, this is how we're going to do business, and this is what we're going to expect. Now, you look at the next bullet, review consistency and clarity of protocols and communications. We're reading this book, you as an administrative team, and we're excited that the Board of Ed is going to join us with this book, but that book is called The Wisdom of the Bullfrog. And in that book, it talks about trooping the line. And what the author is referring to is where leadership actually goes out to the lowest level, spends time, look, listen, and talk to people. And speaking with Mr. Cahill, we said that this is something that we're going to institute. He's going to troop the line, so to speak. If you put these things in place, protocols, so on and so forth, then we want to see them in action and not take these walks just to catch people doing something wrong. That's not the intent there. The intent is to have conversations, look to see if doors are propped open, talk to teachers. What is the impact of that? And some of the things I would imagine that we would find that our buildings, our campuses look different. Our high school is extremely large compared to some of our smaller elementary schools, so to speak. So we might not be able to have one way in, one way out in all of our buildings. Based on the feedback that we get, we may have situations where we have to adjust the vestibule and buzzing people in. So those two bullets go hand in hand, and once we establish those things, we're going to communicate that effectively down to the lowest level, which are the students, the community, and we're going to work closely with law enforcement and make sure that they understand what our expectations are and they are consistent with us. Fiscal responsibility and accountability. Through transparent operations and best practices, we're going to maintain a sound physical stewardship of our financial resources. We've spent a lot of time talking in this particular area, and what these action steps refer to is one of the ways we plan to be physically responsible is to have conversations with our stakeholders. Our practices have been where teachers will talk to building level administrators about their wants and needs. Building administrators will talk to their respective cabinet member about their building or about their respective needs. And that will ultimately end with a conversation with our business official. Well, in speaking with Mr. Cahill, and I agree with this approach, there may be situations where someone from central office, a cabinet member, or Mr. Cahill might need to be a part of that conversation at the lowest level with the principal and with the teacher. When we talk about resources, it's important that we have the right people that can speak intelligently about what the ask is. Sometimes at the building level, and I say this respectfully, they don't know from a business perspective the cost of adding additional staff or certain equipment that they might need. And sometimes, to give you an example, there may be a request to add additional cameras to dead areas in a building. But if you have the right people at the table, i.e. maybe an assistant principal, maybe a monitor, they can tell you, well, we can have people patrol those areas during their preps or whatever time they may have. And that would be making an intelligent decision other than just spending money right away. So that bullet is talking about really establishing those relationships and having those conversations as we go through this process. And the end result would be that we would actually be more responsible and physically accountable for our resources. Goal number 4, recruitment and retention of faculty and staff. Those bullets are, for the most part, self-explanatory, but I'd like to speak to a few of them here, beginning with the professional development. I have made the professional development a goal for all of the cabinet members. I want to make sure that I take some time to understand, to make sure that we understand how important that is. When we recruit or bring people into our district, it is our responsibility to make sure that they are professionally sound and they are current and that we educate them on our expectations. When we offer professional development, we're going to establish a means to evaluate it. And that evaluation would not consist of asking the participants, what did you think about that learning session? They're going to say one or two things. Oh, it was great, we enjoyed it. Or, it was terrible. That's not going to be our criteria to determine whether we are providing adequate professional development to our teachers. Some of the indicators will be, if I had a conversation with Margoff, we talked about providing professional development on AI, for example. Well, if we take the time and resources to plan some sort of learning session on that, what is it we want to see? And we need to identify that before we even conduct that training. And that might be, we want to see X amount of students utilizing AI or X amount of teachers utilizing it. So if we have that in writing and we condition our administrators to look for those things when they do observations and walkthroughs, then that is the measurement of whether that professional development was effective or not. Sometimes the things that we have to talk about or we need to train our faculty on and staff, sometimes it's just not exciting, but that doesn't mean it's not important. And we're looking for changed behaviors when we do those things. So that's what that bullet is talking about. Mentoring. We're always talking about our mentoring program. Step one is to make sure that the right people have mentors, but also what does that consist of? And I've asked those questions, and I applaud our HR assistant soup for turning that into a goal. We're going to survey our mentees, not just our mentors. We want to hear from our end users, and we want to know, after going through our mentoring program, is there alignment with what we're asking them to do? In other words, we use the Danielson rubric. We ask teachers to teach to that standard. When are they trained on it? And that should be a part of that mentoring program. So we're going to look for all those things that we ask them to do, whether it relates to safety, budgeting, you name it. We're going to make sure that that's a part of this mentoring program so that our teachers and employees are prepared based on our program. Job fairs, just straightforward. We're going to continue our partnership with local colleges. We want to always remain competitive with our salaries. That bottom bullet, I think that's a great opportunity. We have partnered with Manhattanville College, where some of our teachers and employees will get a discount, and they're going to offer courses right here on our campuses for teachers to get certified in administration. And that stands to really pay high dividends for us. Goal 5, cybersecurity framework. Again, this is an area that's ongoing. And about 3 years ago, the district conducted an audit. That first bullet speaks to bringing that back. We're going to do that in the March timeframe. We're going to have an outside agency come in and take a look at our systems. We expect to find areas of improvement. What we do not expect to find is that the sky is falling. We have confidence in our system. We are doing this in good faith because we want to identify areas where we can improve. So that's the plan. And that next bullet speaks to our intention. What we find, we're going to develop a plan and we're going to implement it. And that plan has to be budgeted and resourced. And that's what we plan to do. Maintain disaster recovery and incident response plan. Well, we recently learned a valuable lesson from our neighboring district. And I'm very proud that when that cyber attack happened or whatever, they reached out to us because we have, in my experience, one of the best people at it. I think you are a genius, sir, when it comes to that.
We had our own fair share for that process.
It's how you learn.
And it's a team, right?
Yes. But you and your team are excellent. But I do think that that's something that's ongoing, and we're definitely going to take that seriously, and we're going to maintain that plan, because it can happen to any of us at any time. And we're always constantly monitoring and evaluating our cybersecurity measures, which kind of goes hand in hand with what we talked about during the safety portion of these briefings. Our final goal, review data and create a strategic plan. Again, I want to applaud the district. I believe it was 18-19. This district did a phenomenal job of creating a strategic plan. Now it's time to look at that again into another one. When I reviewed it, there were some things that that the team projected, that goals that we would accomplish, but that didn't happen. But who could have projected COVID? And the strategic plan is what it is. It's a plan, and we're going to reassemble that task force. And I'm doing that purposely because I want to tap into the institutional knowledge. my intent is to bring the same people back to the table with the understanding that many of those people are no longer here for different reasons, retirement, they've moved on. So we're going to recruit and add more people to fill those gaps. Once we assemble that team, we're going to unpack that strategic plan, create a survey, and really set the framework and groundwork to implement it by September 1, 2025. So pending your questions, feedback, or further guidance, these will be our goals that we will take to the next level, which is to sit with our administrators and have them formulate their goals, which will be nested with these goals, again, pending your further guidance and approval. Your questions?
I have a question regarding the protocols that we have in place for each varying building. So is that something that you guys have already assessed as to what the changes are when you go building to building? And the easiest example that I can come up with is, or if you come in as a parent, let's say, and you're going from one building to the next, year to year perhaps, are we doing the same thing in every building? I can only speak to high school because that's the only place I have a child right now, but we discovered last year as a parent that upon entering that building, you're now escorted from point A to point B. Is that something that's taking place in every building across the district so that there's continuity amongst parents and visitors, that they can expect the same thing when they go in each of the buildings?
That is absolutely the goal. And so let me say this, and let me just speak from my personal experience. When I entered the district, it's been summer, so it's fairly easy to be consistent in the summer. When we were in school, we know that we have different campuses, different layouts, and different scenarios that require probably some adjustments. But I can say with confidence that at a minimum, we should establish minimal procedures throughout our district. If there's some special event, if there's a need where we have to, I don't know, allow people to enter from the side of your building for parking or whatever the case may be, then we'll talk about those. But those things that we're going to work on with Mr. Cahill, Joe Trapoto, we're going to talk about when someone comes to any building in our district, well, they should be buzzed in. Then we have to start talking about, well, what about after-school activities? What about people's work schedule? But we will establish some sort of consistency there. And the next step will be, well, what do they do when they actually enter the vestibule? We have the Raptor system. They're going to give their ID to a person, and it's going to be exchanged with a pass generated by the Raptor system. And I can't see why not we could not have someone to escort them. And I know that's going to be tricky. I haven't had that conversation with principals yet. I know that there's different circumstances, but that is the goal. Yes, to answer your question, within reason.
Thank you.
So these goals are very good overall, but sitting where I said it's hard to measure because there's not a standard of measure in them. They're lofty, we're going to look at this, we're going to look at that, and you're going to need time going through some of this, obviously being new to the district, but if we sit here next year and say, what's the measure of success, where were we and where did we go to, how do we know what that will look like? Are there more detailed goals coming at a later date in the years when more assessment's been done? So we know, for instance, student achievement. The goal, I think last year, what was it, a 10-point increase in certain testing? So we don't know what that movement looks like, and we want to measure against that movement. We want to know that there's movement. Right now, they're all kind of very nebulous, I would say. So without specificity and dates and expectations, I just was wondering what that would look like.
So I have multiple responses for that. Let me just answer it first and foremost. I serve at the pleasure of the board. If if the board wants to see measure outcomes in this document, absolutely. So, yes, yield to that. Have we thought about measure outcomes? Absolutely, we have those. The work that the cabinet and I have started, that's already been about 80% complete based on conversations we've had with the Board of Ed. We have those things in place. I have a tool that spells out a goal-setting process that is inclusive of action steps, who's responsible, timelines, and more importantly, outcomes. And in that process, what we've already talked about, and we had this conversation at our retreat, we're going to have documented meetings to track the progress of these goals, starting in September. And what that will look like in September, the cabinet members have been directed to meet with their respective departments, which are directors, principals, present their goals to them, and establish goals at every level. And what that will look like is, this is what we want to be, this is how we're going to do it, and this is how we're going to measure it, and make sure that there's understanding. I have went through that process with the cabinet members. Then, in January, come back to the table, which will be documented, where are we at? Have we achieved, are we on par to achieve what we said that we will achieve? And if the answer is no, then we'll go through what I consider shaping and hedging. We'll adjust the goal, or if it's too aggressive, then we won't do the goal. We can't predict what might happen in September, October, November, but what we can do is plan and come out of the gate and hold each other accountable. And then, of course, in June, at the end of the year, we're going to have a final sit-down and determine that we meet our agreed-upon goals. To go through this process, I have given the cabinet members and all the administrators a tool that spells out how to write the goal, how to measure it, and how to make sure that it is associated with student learning. And some of the things to look for, how to collect data, how to organize the data. I've gotten good feedback from that tool that I shared with them. And I would be happy to go through that process at this level upon your request.
Thank you.
Just a couple of follow-up questions. Starting with the student achievement goal. We talked about AP and the dual enrollment classes. What about the honors classes? Will they be looked at as well?
Absolutely.
Okay. And you mentioned the guidance plan that I believe is New York State Education Department framework. Can you share that with the board, Dr. Hassler, the plan from
Sure.
NYSE? And the strategic plan, I assume there'll be a timeline that's created as to the different stages of the plan, when you're going to start to put the stakeholder group together?
September. What I'm intentionally waiting for the people to return back to work. Once they come back into a work status, I've already looked at the list. There's quite a few people that are no longer here. And I can't promise that the people that are here might want to volunteer again. But it is the intent to have, by September, that task force fully assembled. I would like to have met and given them guidance and direction in terms of reviewing the previous strategic plan and looking for those gaps. But what I'm hoping for is that team can really share some lesson learned. And if we need to bring in or outside agencies to assist us in the process, then we can talk about that as a committee, as a task force. But I think a lot of great work have been done, and we have knowledgeable people that can carry out this work, and we can implement this by next year. That is the goal. So it will start in September and carry on throughout the course of the year.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions?
The only thing I'll ask is, I've had my fair share of developing strategic plans. I think it's beneficial that as you go through the process of doing that you're sharing internally to us and obviously externally to the community as well, to make sure that we're on the right path, because it can be a very encompassing and heavy lift. And there's so many different avenues that you can go down when you're building that strategic plan. I think that, and, you know, the good idea fairy, we want to be careful of as well. So it's, you know, it's an art, not a science. But I just think that usually, in my experience with building strategic plans, that buy-in is helpful for guidance and moving forward, so that we get to the right space to not have to rehash things more than a couple of times, because you're never going to do it in once. So, at least in my experience.
Acknowledged, sir. Will comply.
Thank you.
And then in the past, we have asked for a scheduled update on goals. We can talk at another time what the board thinks would be sufficient, but I would think at least every 2 months, but, you know, because sometimes monthly, there's not a lot that happens between them. But maybe creating a schedule, so then the public also knows this is also going to be a goals update meeting that we can set out, and then because everyone's so excited to hear that stuff, they could actually tune in on those days. But I think it's important to keep the public informed as well on the strategic plan aside, how we're making movement.
But you said you'd be doing that with your cabinet, and that you have meeting updates throughout the process anyway.
That every, at the minimum, you know, the cabinet would be talking about it formally, where we would actually put pen to paper, document it, but that's what drives our work. And so that's to share that, to create a calendar to share with the board and public throughout the course of the year. In fact, I think it would only add to the focus.
Okay. any
One
other
more
questions?
question, just building on the guidance review. There's other reviews that are going on, and there's a specific line or action kind of associated with that review, implementation of findings of the review, except for the guidance one. And I think that knowing the timing for when that review should be complete is a key point to both Michael and Don's points.
You want to speak to that, Mr. House? I know that you
And
have it.
Specifically, would we expect that review to be completed this year and then see change?
This year, yeah, I mean, similar to what Dr. Norman, he shared a template with us, and the time frame for each of these goals is by June of 2025. So, yeah,
Thank you.
Can you share that template with us as well?
it's, yep,
Dr. Norman.
Dr. Norman,
yep.
can you share that template with us as well?
Absolutely. Yes, I would. Yeah. Yeah, thank you for asking. It's a great tool that I would love for all of us to really look. It's research-based. Yes, absolutely.
Anything else? You got your first presentation out of the way.
All right.
Thank you, Dr. Norman.
Thank you.
Okay, and next is the approval of minutes from August 14th of 2024. Is there a motion?
Motion?
Is there a second? Carries. And approval of district goals?
Motion?
Second? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, and the next is the approval of the Board of Education goal now. So the Board of Education has established 3 goals for this year. The first one is communication. The Board of Education will create and sustain collaborative partnerships that foster academic excellence, learning opportunities for all students, and a positive culture in our schools and community. The strategies and action steps to coordinate this goal is to facilitate staff, community, and Board of Ed engagement opportunities, and to encourage parental involvement in educational activities and decision-making processes. Our second goal is a Board of Education policy review, to develop an ongoing policy review cycle that seeks to align policy and practice as well as applicable state and federal laws. The strategies and action steps would be an inventory of our policies, to conduct a comprehensive inventory of all existing policies, Prioritization, prioritize policies based on factors such as legal requirements, frequency of use, and areas needing immediate attention, and to create a structured and recurring schedule for reviewing policies. And our third goal is to implement evaluation process of the superintendent to ensure effective leadership and accountability with the school district. The Board of Education recognizes that student achievement, district progress, and community satisfaction with the schools are all in large part affected by the superintendent's performance. The board also recognizes the superintendent cannot function effectively without periodic feedback on performance and is committed to ensuring that the superintendent is evaluated annually as required by commissioners' regulations. The strategies and action steps for this would be by implementing a robust evaluation process. The Board of Education aims to support the superintendent in their role, assess their performance, and promote continuous improvement in leadership. This helps to align the superintendent's actions with the district's mission and strategic goals, fostering a culture of accountability and excellence in the district's leadership. Is there a motion to accept the board goals?
Is there any discussion?
Sure.
Can you just elaborate a little bit more for the community about the communication piece of it, what the action steps are?
As far as what? Like the...
As far as like what it will look like that we're facilitating staff, community, and Board of Education engagement opportunities, and how we are encouraging parental involvement.
Okay, so for the staff and the community engagement opportunities, the board will have a big presence this year in attending functions at the schools and community events that we might sponsor. I don't know what they are now, but the intent is to be as involved with everybody as we can, from staff, teachers, students, parents. As far as encouraging parental involvement in the activities, I think just to have a bigger presence in letting our parents be a part of some of the decision-making processes with our students, especially when it comes to choosing classes and being involved in the guidance, the college application process, just really, nurturing that familiar environment for the family and the student.
Thank you.
Is there a motion?
Motion?
Is there a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. And then next up, we have personnel, Ms. Hawk.
Thank you. I'd like to request approval for the items listed under personnel this evening, 11-1 to 11-19.
Is there any questions? Is there a motion?
Motion?
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you, Ms. Hawk. For business and financial, Mr. Cahill.
Thank you. I respectfully request approval of the business and financial items 12.1 through 12.5.
Is there any questions? Is there a motion?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Committees on Special Education and Preschool Special Education. Is there a motion?
Motion?
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And reports by Board of Education committees. Mr. Ciriello for order.
The finance team is working on pulling together the audits, proposed audit dates, so we'll have more, I believe, in September, correct?
Yeah, the on-site portion, I believe, will start on September 9th. So much later than what we typically do. Typically, it's early August, but it's a semi-new process with a new auditor. So we'll have a meeting generally.
And then
right
we'll get the
before
calendar of dates posted for the meetings, because I know we want to get those on the calendar
Yep.
for, if the public wants to attend.
Okay. Mr. Reynolds for visitation.
Still working on some dates, but I think September is what the first one will likely be. I think we just wait for some final words from some of the members.
4:15 at Pine.
Right, that's what I'm tracking for. I did my calendar today.
Yeah,
by Board and Central Office. Mr. Cahill.
Thank you. I would like to, although she couldn't be, wish Superintendent Rodriguez all the best in retirement. It's been a great pleasure working with her for the last 9+ years, and it's a well-deserved retirement for her. I'm wishing all the best to everybody for the new school year, students, staff, parents, community. I think it's going to be a great year, and hope everyone has a nice evening. Thank you.
Dr. Vias?
Congratulations to Elsie. I'm sure she's tuned into these meetings. Summer, it's been really busy for technology. A big shout out to our summer help students and our summer support staff, behind the scene technology staff. We just about 2,000 devices that we bring it, clean it, refurbish it, ready to go to our students. We are ready. The buildings are getting ready. A big thank you to all the administrators under your staff. And it's exciting to welcome next Tuesday to our staff and Wednesday students.
Thank you. Dr. Hassler?
Yeah, just to echo, congratulations to everybody that was appointed tonight. Congratulations to our summer school graduates last week. They had a summer of a lot of hard work, but they did it. Congratulations. Thank you to the team, the big major team who worked very hard to get them to the place that they were at. It's great to see the athletes back on the fields this week. If you drive by pretty much any time during the day, you see the teams out there practicing. The middle school's hopping, 6th grade orientation's happening. I think Friday is 9th grade orientation tomorrow's 9th grade orientation up at the high school, so it's great to welcome our students back. Finally, I'd like to echo what everybody's saying about Elsie. I've shared this story, it's going to be brief. Somebody recently, I was at a sporting event, stopped me. I shared this with a few people and asked me, how's Elsie doing? She's only got a couple of days left. And it struck me that this person doesn't know Elsie. Like, I don't think that Elsie knows who this person is, but they were asking how she's doing. And the conversation continued about how happy they were for her going off on her retirement and everything that she's done for the school district. And it really struck me about the number of people who she has had in a very, very positive way impacted in her time in Monroe-Woodbury. And I can speak very personally, that is certainly the case for me. She gave me my start in central office for my family. My kids are here. I think that this is an outstanding school district, and it starts with the leadership. And I wish her nothing but happiness and health and just an amazing, amazing retirement.
Ms. Hawk?
I like my old spot where I got to talk before Eric. No, you check every little thing. I was going to talk about fall sports. I was going to talk about graduation.
Oh, sorry.
So, but I will.
Sorry.
There are a few things I have left. I do want to commend Andre Rudiak and his staff for the amazing job they did with the buildings. The buildings look absolutely amazing. Great work. And I'm not going to talk about Elsie because I'll cry, but I will commend Dr. Norman on his first presentation. So very much looking forward to the start of school. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Novak?
I just wanted to start with, as a new trustee, it was really eye-opening to me to see the massive amount of prep that goes on during the summer. So I just wanted to thank everyone involved in that, the cabinet, all the staff, all the teaching staff, the principals, in getting the school and everything ready to a great start to the school year. So thank you very much. Wish Dr. Norman, thank you so much for your first presentation. It was great. And wishing Superintendent Rodriguez all the best in her retirement.
Thank you. Ms. Donahue?
First and foremost, I'd like to thank Dr. Norman. Your first presentation was very well done. Thank you so much. And I'd also like to congratulate, I'm so sorry I couldn't be there. Well, no, I'm not. I was on vacation, so I missed graduation. I'm not sorry I was on vacation, but I wish I had been there for graduation. The persistence of our summer school students speaks volumes about their character, and that persistence should serve them well in the rest of their careers. I'd also like to wish the best to Superintendent Rodriguez. It's been an honor serving with her for 10 years, and I wish her nothing but the best in her retirement, her well-deserved, well-earned retirement. And I hope everyone has a great school year, even though I'm not allowed to say the word school in front of my 10-year-old grandson. He acts like I've said poison, so. But other than that, I wish everyone a wonderful school year.
Ms. McCleary?
Thank you tonight for Dr. Norman for the presentation. I appreciate all of the effort that goes in and to the cabinet members behind the scenes. Even though Eric did talk about it, I want to wish all of our athletes this week good luck. I know tomorrow and Friday can be difficult days for some of our students, but I commend all of them that tried out and put their best effort forward, and I wish them all the success that they can have during their season. I encourage the community to come out this Friday night for Friday Night Lights. It should be a great night, and I wish the boys a great game, and I wish Elsie a very successful and happy retirement, and I hope she is not watching.
Mr. Reynolds?
So thank you to all the staff and faculty of getting ready for the first day, which is upon us. All the teachers going into their rooms and making it perfect for all their students, for labeling desks and all the fun stuff that goes involved with that. So they are really the first line of defense in the classroom to make our students who they are every day. So I appreciate that. Have a great night.
Ms. Robinson?
So just like Lori, I'm also in a terrible seat because then now I have 2 rounds to get through. So the only thing I can say at this point is to emphatically echo what everybody says and just to have a good night.
Dr. Norman?
So I want to begin by acknowledging Jesse and the Transportation Department. I had the privilege and luxury of visiting them, and it's simply amazing. The operation there, the things that our people do on a daily basis. I wish that more people could become familiar with what they do. It's just amazing. In fact, I encourage it if you can. I had the pleasure of spending time with our football players. And you have to understand, I'm a huge football fan. And spending time with our JV and varsity football players, that really made my summer, having the opportunity to talk to them. So the best of luck to them. I would certainly be remiss if I didn't wish Ms. Rodriguez a happy retirement. And I thank her for a smooth transition to this point. I would ask that we all be safe for this Labor Day weekend. Try and recharge and energize and get ready for what's to be an exciting year. I wish everyone that's listening, watching in the audience, just a very happy opening. And I emphasize happy. Children are coming back. Buses will be rolling, backpacks, and you're just going to see those young moms that are sending their babies to school to us for the first time, and what a sight. And if, like we say in the South, if that doesn't set you on fire, then we're just dealing with wet wood. Thank you and good night.
Thank you. That's great. Ms. Ariel?
I want to wish Ms. Rodriguez a fulfilling and healthy retirement. I hope you do some very fun things. I also want to welcome Dylan, our new student board rep, at the September meeting. I'm sure he's got a lot ahead of him, and I'm excited to see what he does in the role. And I want to wish everyone a fantastic, great school year, an opening day, and the rest of your summer, which is now very short. Have a good night.
Thank you. Well, again, probably echoing a lot of what was said, but congratulations to all our new hires. And thank you to Dr. Norman for the presentation. I know a lot of work went into it by you and the cabinet. So thank you for that. And I want to share a little bit about the working sessions that the board has been having. We started off our first session where the central administration staff presented to us an overview of their role for us and what they do on a daily basis. And then tonight we started with our directors. We had asked all the departments to have the directors share with the trustees everything that they do for us. So it's been very enlightening to hear everything, and we're looking forward to our next session as well, which will be the rest of the directors. And of course, Elsie, I think, Eric, you said what I was thinking. There's so many Elsie stories. I don't even know where to start. She's had an impact on so many people. She's very dynamic. I think that would be the word that I would use to talk about Elsie. We will miss her. Congratulations to her and her retirement and everything but best wishes for her. And just an exciting time, right? School is next week, and seeing the buses, driving around right now and getting ready for their routes, and the excitement of the first day, and what Dr. Norman said about sending off your kids. And I remember, like it was yesterday, following the school bus to Smith Clove and seeing my children get off the bus. So thank you for, what was that?
No, you didn't follow the bus.
I did. And like Ms. Novak said, it does not go unnoticed. I know I said it last time, but I want to say it again. All the work that goes into bringing our kids back every year is just, constant. And the summer is not a time for our staff to do anything but get ready for that. So thank you for your commitment to our students and our community. And see you soon for the new school year. Thank you. And there's a motion. We're going to go back into our working session to complete our presentations on our directors. So see you in a few weeks. Motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion